Hey, what's up, y'all? Back again with another video. I hope you guys are all doing well and taking care of yourself the best way that you know how, and staying hydrated and eating foods that resonate with you the best. So I want to talk about how it is so important to be less reactive at your job and to stay more quiet at your job, knowing to participate in. Knowing what things to answer to and knowing what things to not answer to is key. Most of the time, as people, just overall as people, we talk too much. We give information that we don't need to give to others. The more that you are quiet, the more that you become psychic. And with becoming psychic, you become more in tune with yourself, which is alignment. It's the same thing as if you are driving on the road. Have you guys ever noticed when you are driving on the road how people can get out of the lines, out of the lane of the road? And typically, you want to be so aware of your surroundings instinctively. And being aware of your surroundings helps you maintain observation and intuition. So when people are driving in specific lanes and they're starting to veer off, I know that they are getting ready to merge over. I might be in their blind spot, right? And I notice and I recognize by the way that they are driving, because they're getting really, really close to me, they want to get over. So what do? Instinctively, because you cannot trust people. You would hope that, people being on the road, they know how to drive, but that's not always the case. When you step out into the world, you really do have to have some sense of armor and intention and a solidity in who you are as a person, so you won't get out of alignment of self. You know that the beliefs that people have, it has no business. You don't care. You don't care about what people believe in. All you care about is having self-love for yourself and the intentions that you hold for yourself, that you don't want to do any harm to anyone, etc. and so forth. And you know how to be firm, you know how to be assertive when need be, but with staying in alignment, like I said, of noticing and recognizing when someone is trying to get into your lane and they know that it's not enough room. So they're going like this. They're basically going like this, but you're on the side. So I will slow down or I will either speed up to get away from them. Most of the time, I just slow down because I don't want to be in a hurry. I don't want to be in that frequency of rush. I don't need to be in the frequency of rush. And if I'm in the frequency of rush, I can't see, I can't observe, I cannot be one with God. So as someone who is trying to turn in, I figured out that they get into the lane ahead of me because that's what they were trying to do. And it's the same thing with energies. With certain particular energies, when you get out into the world, that everyone doesn't have your best interest at heart. So knowing and recognizing when to speak and when not to, especially in a job space, because you know what? People will use it against you. If you are a ball of shining light, people will use it against you. So how do you feel safe in an unsafe world? Because there's so many things going on in the world, but you have to maintain your own personal peace and protection. And with maintaining your own peace, you automatically have protection because you are in alignment. You don't have time to talk mess about people. You don't have time to observe what people are wearing. You don't pay attention to petty things because you're on a bigger mission in life. At times when people talk, they are speaking to prove something. So that's why it's better to speak less. When you speak less, there's nothing to prove. And a lot of people like to talk about introverts and people, who are attracted to or want introverts to speak more and talk more. But sometimes it has nothing to do with necessarily about someone being a introvert or a extrovert. Some people just understand what energy is and they just enjoy their own energy. They don't have to pull from other people. And a lot of people don't like being around a bunch of people because they know how others can be. They know that they could be vindictive. They know that they're not coming from a loving space. A lot of people carry insecurities and project it out onto others. People just don't want others to do well. And so people just love to gossip about someone or make drama out of nothing and petty things. People do this all the time. So if you talk less and you mind your business, saying basically overall, you're saying you don't have anything to prove. And the people who are quiet, they don't have anything to prove. And I'm not saying there are people who are just quiet because they're uncomfortable, but I'm saying a person that if you ask them a question and they are overall a person that is to themselves, but you see them interacting with customers, you see them interacting with someone who asks them a question, then they're not really like a person who's trying to avoid. And that's what a lot of people think when someone is more into, they are comfortable with who they are. They don't need to be entertained by people. And a lot of people want to be entertained by people all the time. And the reason why they want to be entertained by people, especially at a job, they, for one, probably don't want to be at the job. Two, they're probably going through a lot of things at their home, or they're just not happy with themselves. So they're looking for happiness through the people that they work for. And that is a lot of pressure for the people who they work for. You have one individual who's maybe going through it at home and all this stuff. And this doesn't mean that you don't have any compassion or empathy for what they are going through. But at the same time, we are all our own person. And it's no one's responsibility to always be someone else's happiness. That is so unfair, and we are internal beings in the first place. We were supposed to have been taught to be internal. And what has happened is a lot of people were forced to be something that they weren't, which is be the bubbly person, be the most happiest person at the job or in that family dynamic, be the comedian, and they probably didn't even want to be the entertainer of that space, but they had to play that just to get by, just to make money. And that is unfair to pulling on someone's energy and drinking them. And that turns into narcissism. People get greedy with other people's energies. And so that's why, with people who are more confident in who they are and they don't need people's entertainment, they will attack people who are comfortable with who they are. And this is why it makes it so hard at times to be at a job, because people will automatically think that you're stuck up, you're bougie, you think that you're better. All of these things that they will create, that you don't want to be at the job, all of these scenarios that they want to create, or they'll try to look and find something wrong that you did, which was just a miscommunication, stuff like that. So continue to strengthen yourself within. Don't worry about what people think about you, because you are connected to God. A lot of this stuff is fluff anyways. A lot of people in these spaces will cause drama just so they can deflect and so that they can get right with the boss, get right with the manager, so they can have a appearance or a facade that they are better than the other person that they're trying to cast out. This is what people do, and you have to be okay with you and not believe in everything that they are creating, because it will turn on them. You don't have to respond. You don't have to prove yourself in those scenarios, because it's all false. The things that they are perpetuating, the things that they are trying to point fingers at you, it will all come to light. So that's how you want to stay centered and aligned with yourself. There's so many, like I said, there's so many things going on in the world, and this is the things that people want to pay attention to, are the petty things, because they don't want to look at themselves. They don't want to do the work with themselves. And if they're not taking care of themselves, if they don't take their vitamins, they don't read, they don't work out from time to time, they don't eat the appropriate foods, of course they're going to take it out on someone who is doing the work, who does take care of themselves, who does take vitamins, and that is what they do so they can strengthen their body. So if you are the type of person who is taking care of themselves and another person isn't, of course they're going to project on you. Of course they're going to think that you're being better than them when you are actually just doing what you know works for you. But they're not taking the initiative to be inspired to do those things. They would rather put you at their level, depleted, their body is hurting, and they are not working out from time to time. They don't drink water like they should be. If people are not taking care of themselves, they have no right to try to throw daggers at someone else who is being that representation of, this is what I know works for me and this is what I do. You have an energy that is unspoken, that you know who you are. And so of course they're going to take things offensively, like they'll take it the wrong way. There was a lady that was asking, an employee had asked her if she wanted to get something to drink. And the lady responded, "What kind of sugar do you guys use in the drinks?" And the employee responded and said, "Oh, I don't know." So the lady did not take the drink. Others that overheard the conversation got offended at the fact that she asked what kind of sugar it is. They took it as, oh, she's being bougie. Mind you, this lady, she was very peppy and she was not acting bougie at all. And she was an older lady and she had so much spunk about her. And I understood where she was coming from, because look at how old she is and look at her energy. She knows about food. She knows that sugar is not good for you. And you could tell that she doesn't eat a lot of sugar just because of how her energy is, and the question that she asked. And she has every right to ask that. But the others took it offensively. Oh, she thinks she's too good to drink that. Instead of thinking like, why isn't she wanting to drink that drink? Why is she asking that? You know, so people at certain mind states are going to be offended or think that someone thinks that they're better because of the education behind why they're doing what they are doing. Like, I understand it. And it is a good question to ask, what kind of sugar do you guys use? Because at Starbucks, they have cane sugar, they have stevia, they have different types of sugar that you could put in your drink. And same thing if you go to a smoothie place, you could say, hey, I don't want any sugar in my smoothie. And that is because they know what sugar can do to a person, to the mind, to the brain, to the body overall. It slows you down. It's not good for you. And so it's all about the mindset, you know, and that's why it makes it so hard to be in certain environments, because people don't really have the knowledge behind why people do the things that they are doing and why they eat a certain way. Why do they talk a certain way? You know, not knowing their history. A lot of the times these addictions to food have additives, and if you look at the word additives, it looks very similar to addictions. So all these additives that are in the foods that are causing addictions in the human body is because, like I said before, they want to keep your mind lowered, and then you can't reach that threshold to be able to ask the right questions. Your CB1 and your CB2 receptors are clogged. You're not able to receive new information when your CB1 and CB2 receptors are clogged. And so with receiving certain particular information to be able to educate yourself and to have a better health, of course you're not going to be able to see something different. Your receptors are clogged, and then on top of that, your pineal gland becomes clogged as well with certain foods and fluoride in the water. So you want to be able to be receptive and receive new information. But to be able to do that is, what foods are you eating? What are the things that you're paying attention to? Your CB1 and CB2 receptors are connected to your gut and the enzymes and to your brain. So it's sending signals to your brain. And if you're not able to receive positive signals to your brain, of course you're going to react to certain things poorly. Of course you're going to get upset with things even more than a person who does not eat sugar, who's more intentional about how they eat, what they drink, what they watch. We are a computer system. The brain is a computer system. So to be receptive, you have to eliminate, and you have to eliminate the toxins. It's just like shadow work. You have to eliminate the belief systems that you have within your mind that is no longer working for you. Because if you see the belief systems that you have that are attached to old ways of being and you're still acting in that, of course you're going to recreate the same thing. The same thing with food. If you eat foods that are not helping you thrive as an individual, then you will continue to have the same thoughts. If you're not doing the shadow work and you're not eating foods that resonate with you, that are appropriate for you, that are aligned to you, like one vegetable that's really good for me is asparagus. I love asparagus. Asparagus has a lot of benefits to eating it, and I eat it all the time, in spite of the fact that my pee may smell funny. But I don't care, because I know the benefits of eating asparagus. So with this of doing the shadow work and eating foods and being intentional about the things that you put in your mouth, then you'll be less reactive. You won't feel like you have to prove something. You don't talk a lot. You won't talk a lot. You don't have to, you'll pick and choose of what you entertain. You will see a brighter day. And a lot of people want to blame money of why they don't eat right. Exchange those Cheetos that you eat all the time. This is just an example, and this is no judgment, because sometimes I eat chips sometimes just to have fun with life. But exchange the chips for a carrot. Exchange the chips for asparagus. Exchange the chips for a big bag of green beans. It's all about what you exchange. You're still spending money, even if it's not a lot of money, but at the end of the day, you're spending money. And all of that still adds up. So it's all about your choices and what's important to you. Whatever you find that is most important, that's what you're going to gravitate to. Whatever you are looking for, it will always find you. So you have that choice, and you have to change your belief system of how you feel about yourself, the standard of how you feel about yourself, instead of judging others who are doing the work and looking at people and saying, oh, they're bougie. Ask questions of, oh, why don't you want to drink that? Oh, why do you eat that? People are not just eating things just to eat them, especially when their skin is clear, they speak really well. They know that eating these things are beneficial. And when you start at the bare minimum, it will increase, because eating those foods is love. And it's not to say that you're never going to have a cookie or a brownie here and there. That's not the point. It's starting to invest in your health, your internal self, because it's all connected. As above, so below. Eating based off of your astrology sign and your blood type. Looking at the people around you that you see what they eat, and when you look at what they eat, is it beneficial to them or is it hindering them? Looking at the things that they watch, is it beneficial to them or is it hindering them? What do they say? How do they respond to you? The people that you have relationships with, how do they respond to you? And be observant of how they react and how they respond. A lot of people are emotional. A lot of people react out of emotions. And that is the wrong way to, I don't feel like it's the best way to make a decision or to assume something. You know, a lot of people, there's this basic saying of like, when you assume something, you make an ass out of you, and they make an ass out of you and me. I'm not involved in that. You made an ass on yourself because you assumed something before it was even solidified or the facts were there, you know, or the story was had or the conversation was had. You made an ass out of yourself. Even with the word embarrassment, it has the word ass in there. So why feel like a donkey about yourself? You know, strengthening your love for who you are. The more that you strengthen the love for who you are, the better you will treat other people. The better you will have better conversations. The more that you will get curious about life. The more that you want to learn about who you are when you start to love yourself. But you can't project onto other people that are doing their thing, that they found what works for them. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. And especially a person who's been working on themselves and they made it work with the bare minimum, like I've done it. I've made things work with the bare minimum, and I made it work with getting the vitamins because I know that it's beneficial because I stuck to it long enough. And I'm going to continue to stick to it long enough. Like everyone's shit stinks. So it doesn't matter if you want to be vegan. You're not better than anyone who eats meat. Whatever you decide that's for you, your shit still stinks. Everyone's shit stinks, whether you're vegan or you eat meat. It's just, what do you feel like is the best thing for you, that you feel like you want to gravitate towards to make your life better? Because there's people that are vegan that think that they're better than someone. And when I was vegan for a whole year, I almost got caught in that trap of thinking that I was better than other people. When that's not even the case, you figure out really quickly that it's a self-love journey, and it's a journey of discovering yourself, of what works and your addictions, and hitting the reset button on yourself. Because when you get out in the world, people do not care about you. People are on a different level. They're in a different mindset. You could be standing right next to someone and you could be experiencing rainbows, butterflies, bliss, and the other person is in hell right next to you, and they are displaying their hell onto you. They want you to be in hell like them. Look at and speaking of fire, but they want you to be in hell just like they are, and you can't allow that to happen because of how they feel. You know, like, you can't allow that. And if people push you out of a situation or a job or a friendship, you should be thankful for that, because you are not supposed to be in that space. You can't be in that space. You just can't. They like to be in the darkness, and let them have it. Let them be demonic. Let them be dark. Let them project onto you. Let them judge you. That's what they do. And you are shining the light, the flashlight in their eyeballs, and they can't take it. So see it as a good thing if people are trying to embarrass you, people trying to push you out, people are twisting your words with the things that you say. You could say anything and they will twist your words to make you appear like you are this, and that, when it's actually their mindset because of what they think on a regular basis, how they view life on a regular basis. They're not doing anything to help themselves, because if they were, they wouldn't be casting stones on you. They wouldn't be throwing you on a cross. And what I noticed with people who are in specific religion, what I notice is that they do condemn people. They do highly judge people, like highly judge people. And they want to make you look wrong so bad. You know, it's just a reenactment of Jesus. They treat people who are actually just naturally wanting to be themselves, are naturally kind. They sit there and judge someone else for being a pure light. And they try to cast stones on someone. They try to judge them, you know, energetically. And it's like, that's not love. That's not God. That's really far, far away from God. Like, how can you really truly love God if you're doing that to someone else? Like, we're all doing the same thing. We should not be sitting here trying to hurt each other and make someone feel bad about who they are. And thankfully, I'm the type of person where I can, you know, transmute that, not even pay attention to it anymore. But it's crazy to be around. It's a lot to be around. Because they'll find any kind of way to do that. But, you know, when you're entering into a job, you already want to be a happy person. You want to already be content with who you are. Your job doesn't make you happy. That's just a bonus, you know, to help you maintain yourself, put, you know, food in your mouth, and do whatever you want to do as far as your personal business or your hobbies. But you go into a job not relying on that job to make you happy, because you will be able to withstand a lot of things that people throw at you or try to project onto you much longer than someone who is projecting onto you, thinking negative. That is their source of happiness. Because whenever you think something's going to make you happy, it's going to be the quickest way to showing you that that job is not supposed to make you happy, or that relationship is not going to make you happy. But whenever you rely on something outside of you to make you happy, it's going to disappoint you. It's going to be a really quick downfall. And so that's why you go into everything with the least expectation, with open-mindedness, with love. And you know that that does not make you happy. You are already consistent with what you want to do in life in the first place. And if you don't, I'm pretty sure every one of you guys have something that you enjoy doing. With so many things that are going on in this world, it's key to understand that, you know, recognize what's around you, how is your life going, and being grateful about the good things that have happened to you in your life, and to give you some type of inspiration for yourself. You use yourself as a stepping stone. You don't use others as a stepping stone. You don't use others to validate you. You know, with validation, you're just using the validation in a different form. You get validation, you don't hang on to it, you enjoy it for that present moment, and you move on. But that is not something that you get a high off of. Because whenever you try to get a high off of something external, like I said, you're gonna have to come back down. So it's all about sustaining your beliefs about how you feel about yourself and the peace within yourself first. Not being externally focused about others, or getting validation, or getting energy from someone else, or upholding someone else. And the minute that you don't uphold someone else and giving them confidence, then they're looking at you funny, that you change, something's wrong with you. And now they're thinking that you're mad at them because you put them up on a pedestal, thinking that that was the best way to uphold your friendship and peace. But it was actually a downfall, because they were already in a space where they weren't uplifting themselves. It would be different if you have someone who has potential to uplift themselves. They may feel sad, they may feel depressed, but they know how to transmute it. Then that's someone to work with. That's someone you may be able to be friends with, but not someone who's just looking at you like a piece of candy and you're their sugar high. And if you decide to take it away because you're being more with yourself and you don't have the energy to do that, and they will start looking at you funny and start talking mess. That's what everybody wants to do, is deflect and pay attention to what everybody else is doing. The more that they pay attention to what everybody else is doing, their body is depleting, their health is depleting. And it's like, pull that energy back into yourself. The time you wasted, the time that an individual wasted talking about someone and thinking that they're bougie, or that they're better, or whatever the case may be, they could have used that energy to learn something new about themselves, to eat better, whatever. Like, it's there. It's just, what are you directing your time to? You don't want to force or impose or be intrusive onto others, because that's not gracefulness. Forcefulness is not gracefulness, and you want to be more graceful with people and handle people with care. But the thing is, if somebody is not caring for themselves, of course they're not going to treat you the best. Of course they're not going to treat you the best or see you as the light that you are, because they can't see the light in themselves. So that is what they will do, is instinctively go into tearing you down. They want you to look as sick as them. They do. And they think that, it doesn't take any work ethic to maintain a certain healthy lifestyle. And just because someone doesn't have money, or they feel like if they don't have any money, doesn't mean that you don't take care of yourself. You always take care of what you have. This was something that my mom said to me when I was younger, and I will always remember this. There was a couple that lived in the hood around the corner from my grandma when I was younger, and the homes next to them were in shambles. They didn't really take care of it. But this one specific house, they would take care of their home even though they were in the hood. And my mom always told me, she said, no matter where you live, you take care of what you have. It doesn't matter if you live in the hood or a rich area or middle class area, whatever these terms are, you take care of what you do have. You clean what you own, what you live in, no matter where you live. You don't have to be like everyone else or live like everyone else just because your apartment or your home is in the hood. You take care of that. And that's what that couple did, was make sure that their lawn was cut. They did the damn thing when it came to taking care of their home. And I loved seeing that. So just because you don't have any money, you don't need to succumb to being a certain way, acting a certain way, eating a certain way. You still have the right to have discernment. You still have the right to have options. Don't let anyone allow you to make you feel like you are less than, that you don't have options, because the universe is there for you. Your connection to God is always there, no matter what. So no matter what circumstance, and you got to be connected enough to God to be able to change your circumstances. People do it all the time, where they get in a situation, whether someone helps them or God drops a really good job in their hands and nobody helped them. Either or, God is giving you someone or something or a place or a job to help you out. Because I see a lot of people who throw daggers at people who get helped by their parents or a family member and they don't have it. But either or, both parties can be using it differently, or they could both be winning. They're both winning. You still got your chance, whether you got that job and no one helped you, whether you didn't get a handout or not, you still got that good job. I've seen people do it. They don't have any parents or whatever the case may be, and they still made it happen. So a person who has parents and they get money from them from time to time, they get help, that is their way of getting a chance. But it doesn't lower it or make it better, or it's less harder. That person could still have a hard life, even though they get that help from that family member. You don't know the circumstances at all. So never judge. You still got that chance. And God was working through a family member, or God was like working through those people. Like, yes, this is the pipeline for you to be at. So I don't understand why people compare. I don't like that. I personally don't like that. And that's comparison, because God is still working through each individual. And people do suffer no matter what circumstance they are in. It just looks different. Just because they got a handout from someone for temporarily from a family member doesn't mean that that's not God, and doesn't mean that they are snooty, or that it doesn't mean any of that at all. and because I know people who get handouts from their family members and stuff like that, and then I know someone who doesn't have any family members, but they got a really good job and they have a better job than the person who does get it could vary. It could vary, but either way, God is still working through everyone to support you. That's why you never compare. You never compare. You just focus on what you want. You focus on what you want in your connection to God. Because it looks differently, especially because of people's birth chart and their astrology, their past life, their contract here in life. If you have an inner knowing about who you are and what you're supposed to be doing on this planet Earth, whether you get a handout or you don't, God is still going to provide for you no matter what. It's how you act while that is happening. When you get that handout, are you using it for your benefit? Or are you blowing it on something that is actually not a benefit for you? There are people who are smart about when they get money from certain things, they save it. Or certain people, certain family members, they save it. They save it and they use it later, or they use it to pay this debt off. They use it that's okay. Everybody has the right to have a chance, no matter what it looks like, no matter if somebody has parents, no matter if someone doesn't have parents. Everybody can make it due to their own mindset. That's why you don't know what somebody is going through. Either or. If everybody could just mind their business and be focused on themselves, they would be a lot healthier. Being in the present moment, enjoying, being graceful, being grateful of who I am. You just being here on planet Earth is enough. The world makes you feel like you're not good enough. The world wants to punish you for every little thing, every little mistake. They don't handle you with love. They want to condemn you like they are a god because of their belief systems. They want to make you feel like you sinned when we shouldn't even be paying for a lot of these things that we are paying for. We shouldn't have to pay for air to put in our tire. We shouldn't have to pay for food that the earth already provided. They talk about the world being overpopulated. The world's not overpopulated. It's not. It's to cause fear, to get you distracted off of yourself and to use your energy to create a story. You don't want to hold on to stories. That's definitely something that I have been working on too. I'm a fixed sign. I'm a Leo. My Mercury is in Leo. That's the way you communicate and you talk. So Leo being a fixed sign, I can get fixated on things. So I have to be aware of what I fixate on. So what am I fixated on? Whatever I'm fixated on, is it helping me or is it depleting me? If it's depleting me, I'm letting it go. If it's making me tired, I'm letting it go. I'm not going to continue to hold on to stories of what people think or what people think of me, who they think I am. I don't have time to prove anything. So I'm going to talk less. I'm going to talk less with people and others. With people who talk a lot as well, they could be the most insecure in the room. They could be the most insecure in the room because they don't want to hear the thoughts that they have in their mind. They don't want to confront it. And the thing is, there's nothing to confront, because all of those lower thoughts and belief systems, it's just beliefs, and you can turn that around by ignoring them. It's not you. It's not you. It's just not. So I just noticed that's what others do, and there's not much I could do, is just continue to be, myself, and you guys continue to be who you are. You can't change anybody. You can't do any of that. What you can do is talk less and let that flip back onto them. Let that energy be pushed back onto them. Every time when you're quiet and you don't want to engage in certain things, you don't want to engage in certain conversations. And don't judge anything. Don't judge the conversation, because the minute you judge a conversation, you're making a contract with the thought in your mind and theirs of trying to figure out who they are, or you're judging what they just said. Don't judge what they said, or how could they just say that? Don't judge it. Just let it fly out of their mouth and let it fly. Don't judge it, because when you judge it, you're hanging on to it, and a thought form comes, and then now you're thinking about what they just said. And then you go home, and now you're thinking about what they just said. And you don't need to think about what they said. Let them have that. Don't attach your thought and connect to that, because that's making a contract to those thoughts. It's almost like you're agreeing to it. You don't have to agree to it. You could just let it pass by you and leave it there. That will help you keep your mind clear and less reactive. And they will have to deal with their own, have to contract with the things that they are saying. You don't have to entertain it, because that's can cause karma with interacting with them and their thoughts and what they think about when you weren't even thinking about that. You don't have to even merge with that, because you go home and you think about it, and it's none of your business to even think about, to transmute for them. You don't have to transmute anything for them. You get into your feeling body. Is it of resonance? No, it's not of resonance. You let it fly. You don't have to attach to it. And you talk less. So thank you guys so much for listening. And I will be back again with another video. Peace.